Hello and welcome once again to our program, DPR, the Petroleum Industry Regulator. In today's edition, we'll be featuring what you may call the controlling factor within any establishment. Now, it is better known as a Corporate Services Division. It is a division saddled with the responsibility of employing qualitative staff, training them as well, and even making sure that those staff are deployed to the right division and remunerated appropriately. I love that part of it. Now, the division also makes sure the staff get qualitative materials to work with. Now, well, before we get into this topic, first, let's debate on the oil and gas industry around the world. Oil prices have been on the upward swing as United States of America's sanctions squeezes Iran exports, and forecast says its crude oil production will grow at a slower rate than previously expected. As the November kickoff date for the imposition of U.S. sanctions on the nation draws closer, traders price in a risk premium which has increased significantly. Brent crude futures LCOC1 rose to $1.69, 2.2% to settle at $79.06 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude CLC1 also rose to $1.71 or 2.5% to sit at $69.25 a barrel. Now, this increase reflects the supply shortages likely to occur when exports from the third largest OPEC member are cut. Washington had requested its allies to reduce imports of Iranian oil, and South Korea, Japan, and India seem to be falling in line. The OPEC Plus countries, an agreement between 24 participating nations to reduce production by 1.72 million barrels per day, have fulfilled their obligations up to 130% in August, as against 95% in July. IEA made the disclosure, adding that OPEC, at the same time, increased its oil production by 420,000 barrels per day, and that's in July, to 32.63 million barrels per day, having fulfilled the 2016 Vienna Agreement by 115% against 119% in July. Now, non-OPEC countries also fulfilled their obligations to reduce oil production by 75% against 44% in July. Oil production in those countries fell by 410,000 barrels per day to the indicator in October of 2016, with the average compliance rate standing at 81% by September.
This is a special announcement from the Department of Petroleum Resources. Do not keep petrol in jerrycans inside your rooms. Ensure that it is kept well outside the living environment and away from children. Avoid using your cell phone in petrol filling stations during refueling of your car. It can cause spark and ignite fire. Do not smoke or use naked light where petrol is being stored or sold. Turn off your car engine at filling station when buying fuel in your tank. Avoid filling your generator set with petrol when the engine is still running. Always ensure that the engine is switched off. Ensure that when pouring petrol into a container, it is done in a ventilated area and in safe manner. For more information, visit the nearest DPR office or our website www.dpr.gov.ng.
Welcome back. Now, we'll take the background report on the Corporate Service Division of the Department of Petroleum Resources. What makes this division the engine room of the Directorate? Now, just listen and watch.
For any establishment to perform and function effectively in its area of specialization, that entity is required to have what many call an engine room to handle its personnel and execute policies. That engine room is called a Corporate Service Division. Indeed, it must be a division credited with activities that combine or consolidate certain enterprise-wide needed support service based on specialized knowledge, best practices, and technology to serve internal and sometimes external customers and business partners. The Corporate Service Division of the Department of Petroleum Resources has all these qualities. The division provides support service to the department to perform its functions in an efficient and cost-effective manner. It is responsible for managing human capital, facilities, procurement and inventory, staff welfare, staff release, administrative support service, and ensuring compliance with the Nigerian Content Act. Indeed, the corporate service of the Department of Petroleum Resources is actively responsible for supporting, developing, and implementing strategic plans of the department in accordance with the Directorate's mission and vision statements. It also manages its administrative and operational functions and coordinates office processes and procedures to ensure operational and organizational effectiveness. This is to ensure efficiency in all the Directorate's operations. The division manages all aspects of human relations functions within the Department of Petroleum Resources, which include training, internal information management, and information technology systems. The Corporate Services Division of DPR, which is based at the Directorate's head office on Victoria Island, Lagos, coordinates all the 7 zonal and 42 field offices of the Department of Petroleum Resources spread across the country. The division also supports the management team with business planning activities and provides practical and creative inputs in the development of new business initiatives. Also designs current and future strategic and operational plans, brings discipline to strategic decision-making process, and manages the effective use of business resources. DPR's Corporate Service Division has qualified staff with requisite experience and expertise to motivate and drive the Directorate to achieve both overall establishment targets and key performance objectives. However, for the division to achieve all its set targets, it is structured into 3 parts known as branches. They are Human Resources Branch, Service Branch, and the Nigerian Content Branch. The Human Resources Branch is subdivided into MPDA, SWB, and PPD units.
Human Resources Branch consists of 4 units. We have manpower development, we have industrial relations, we have staff welfare and benefit, and personnel information, discipline and promotion. Now, this division or units that I've mentioned, we have a robust capacity building in the Department of Petroleum Resources, and Human Resources Branch is the one that anchored the training. DPR is interested in training and retraining of its staff.
Also, their responsibilities include recruitment of highly qualified staff, training and employee relations.
I think it's really a life-changing opportunity. It creates massive opportunity for learning, for development, for networking, and it brought to the fore the need for us to collectively as regulators pursue a common goal to enhance the regulatory capacity of the institution.
The department should be prepared to have management staff that will be ready to take management to a different level. I'm not just saying it for saying sake, because the people that we actually have here are people that I have never seen such a family before. People that are willing to actually carry everybody along, looking out for everybody and trying to see how we can learn new things to actually make the department a better place to work in.
A lot of the soft skills, the leadership skill, management skill that we've been taught would prove very useful. One of them would be, for example, okay, we've been talking about we're waiting for the passage of the PIGB. There are a lot of responsibility that will fall on the shoulders of the DPR. But we also have a lot of responsibility today. to advise government, and to do her regulatory duties.
Assessment and rewards, welfare and benefits, as well as staff records and information management. The staff welfare and benefits include pension and gratuity, insurance, staff welfare, salary administration, and medicals.
No organization survives without recruitment. Reason being that people exit, the level of attrition is high. Now, if people leave the system, you have to replace them with new hands. This we do in DPR, and if there is any process of recruitment in DPR, it has to be anchored through human resources.
The service branch responsibilities include formulation and implementation of assets and facility management strategy for the Department of Petroleum Resources, estate acquisition and maintenance of DPR's facilities, and to promote functional work environment and contract administration and procurement of movable assets for the department.
We want the department to have presence in all the states of the country. And to do that, we continuously acquire property for the department. And we ensure that we have good working environment. We also ensure the aesthetics of the department meets the world-class standard. And we provide all the work tools that the personnel in the department utilize in carrying out their duties.
Others include implementation of best practices to ensure security of life and the Directorate's property, as well as planning and implementation of logistics strategy to meet the needs of the department.
We provide operational vehicles in logistics. We deliver logistics to all the field offices, outstations, and operational vehicles will enable the OPSCONs, that's the OPSCONs in the field, to deliver their mandates.
However, the Department of Petroleum Resources, through Section 15A of the Petroleum Act, still manages the issue of staff release, while Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, NCDMB, with approval from the Ministry of Interior, superintend over the issue of expatriate quota. In other words, the Nigerian Content Branch of the Department of Petroleum Resources statutorily is responsible for staff release matters in all oil and gas companies registered by DPR. The branch also enforces expatriate quota and understudies its compliance.
I know you've been well informed on the role of different branches of the Corporate Service Division in running the Department of Petroleum Resources. Now, I hand you over to Antonia Amusu on questions and answer. Now, this is with the Deputy Director and Head Corporate Service Division of the DPR.
Alhaji Shakro, you are welcome to this segment of this program.
Thank you very much.
We want to find out from you, as the head of corporate services, how does your unit help this big organization that is the regulator in the oil and gas industry, help them achieve their mandate?
Well, corporate services comprises of human resources, services, and Nigerian content, with medical also as an integral part. With this broad mandate, it is part of the responsibility of corporate services to ensure we have talented staff in the industry, to ensure regular training and retraining of our workforce, to ensure that we are at par or even above the standard in the oil and gas industry as regulators, so that we will be in an advantage position to set pace for the IOCs in the industry. So to that extent, the role of corporate services is very critical for the attainment of departmental function or regulatory function in the oil and gas industry.
You said the corporate the services. You provide services too. What are these services you provide?
We provide human and material services to the department. For example, the office setting is under the purview of corporate services. The staffing is under the purview of corporate services. The well-being of the staff is under the purview of corporate services, even to ensure industrial harmony. Without peace in the workplace, you will not be able to achieve anything. And I want to put on record, for more than 5 years now, we have never had any local issues with our in-house unions. That shows the extent of relationship we have with our unions.
I'm sure the welfare too must be quite good. That's why you have this harmonious relationship with the workforce and the union. So what kind of welfare package does your unit provide for DPR as an organization?
Well, we have a clear defined conditions of service, which is mirrored in oil and gas industry conditions. We are not in the main civil service, and generally our conditions of service are attractive.
So let's talk about staff recruitment. How does it work here? How do you help government, provide employment for the teeming youths in the country?
Well, as you may be aware, we commenced a recruitment process in 2016. To be precise, October 2016, our advert came out for recruitment of both graduate trainee and experienced hires. For some obvious reasons, we are not able to close out as we plan to. However, I'm proud to announce to Nigerians that exercise that commenced in October 2016 has been brought to logical conclusion. As I'm talking to you now, letters of offer of appointment have been issued to successful candidates that went through rigorous process of selection, and we are expecting those people that were selected to assume duties in our various locations.
Why would it take a recruitment exercise 2 years to complete?
That cannot be separated from the fact that we're operating in an environment, and that environment is governed by some issues. Secondly, we are also a government agency. There are a lot of oversighting agencies, for example, the National Assembly, the budget issue, and the rest. Remember, whatever we're going to do, we're still going to draw our salaries for the new recruits from the CFR. And as a result of that, we have to ensure that all the major stakeholders are carried on board. So that was part of what probably have the delay, but it's better late than never. Finally, we have concluded. The successful candidates have been issued letters of appointment.
How do you cope with pressures from powers that be that want all their wards, friends, and daughters to get into DPR?
We try as much as possible to manage once we can manage, but everybody is in agreement that if you populate the organization as powerful as the Department of Petroleum Resources with incompetent hands, then the disaster is looming large. So we try to convey this position to those you refer to as powers to be, to allow the rule of the game to subsist. And I think substantially, we allow free hand to do what we consider to be the right thing to do.
Do you adhere to the rule of federal character?
Certainly. Everything we did was under the purview of Federal Character Commission. They supervised the aptitude tests we did in the locations, 4 locations. They participated in the interview process. We have to submit both the long and short list of the successful candidates to them, and then finally they issued us a letter of compliance, certificate compliance with Federal Character Principle.
So let's look at the DPR for those of us, at least the physical structure, those of us or those who know this unit before or the department before. We can see that a lot of changes has taken place in trying to make the environment as conducive as possible for its workforce. what role did corporate affairs play in ensuring that the environment in DPR is really stepping up and matching with the international oil companies around working in this country?
Well, to whom much is given, much is expected. The DPR, as from 2014, the funding has increased tremendously. And as a result of that, that accounts for all the beautifications you are seeing, both in the headquarters and in our field locations. If you take a trip to all our locations, you see that we have actually added value. We will try to create conducive environment for our staff to put in their best.
What about technology? What technologies are you introducing, deploying to ensure that your workforce, you get the best out of them, and then the DPR too is able to be on top of its game?
We are going digital in virtually all our operations. We are not there 100% yet, but we are more than 70% there. So our staff have all the necessary IT infrastructure for them to deliver their mandate.
Now, apart from deployment of computers and what, I know that this is a very competitive and high-tech industry, and you are regulating some of these countries that have their head offices outside the country. They have maybe more advanced technology to work with. How are you matching them?
The world entirely is a global village now. So whatever technology that is available in those countries is a question of fund. If you have money, you can acquire those technology and then expose your staff to adequate training. They will be able to manage those facilities.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about training. How well is corporate services providing this for the staff? How well are you doing that?
We have aggressive training policy, both within and outside the country. And our staff, we send them to some of the best world-class training institutions so that they are up to date with the skills and technology available in the oil and gas industry.
Have you seen the impact of this training on the output of your staff?
Certainly. If you watch our revenue drive, you see that it has improved. If you check customer service relationship, our scorecard is on the increase. We have a very robust Servicom unit that critique our service delivery to our customers.
Let's look at one area that many people can relate with DPR with, that is the downstream sector. How would you say corporate services have helped that department be on top of its game?
If I give you the statistics, number one, for downstream to carry out their monitoring functions very well, they need logistics. And out of our 28 offices nationwide, none has less than 2 functional operational vehicles. None. Some have 4, 5, 6, depending on area of coverage. And this is very critical to our monitoring functions. So, and the vehicles are brand new. So to that extent, we have rendered necessary support to downstream for them to carry out their function.
In spite of this recruitment, would you say that DPR, in terms of staff strength, you are now where you should be?
We are close to where we should be. It will not be possible for us to be where we want to be for some obvious reasons. There's cost implication, even the processes of bringing in people, there's issue of even space constraints. So, but with the additional numbers we are bringing in, certainly it will address a lot of our staffing gap for a while.
So for corporate services, what would you say is your greatest challenge in ensuring that things work well in DPR?
Big question. Maybe trying to get people to comply with extant rules and regulations is a bit of challenge.
Inside or externally?
In both ways. In both ways. People who always want to have their way, even when they are not entitled to such things. And you just have to keep on educating them.
Well, I guess that will be all for now. Alhaji Shaku, Head Corporate Services of the DPR, we thank you for your time.
And thank you also for coming. It's my pleasure.
Welcome back. It's a wrap on today's program. Well, I hope you're well informed on the happenings in the Department of Petroleum Resources. Next week is another date. Keep staying with us. I'll be back again. Bye-bye.